Jennie, hi, welcome to AEV Marketplace on a Wednesday night. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, pleasure to be here and to celebrate those fantastic numbers. It's so good to see. It's really exciting.
It is brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess the key question was always whether that spurt or spike was going to continue, but certainly looks like it does, and I'm very excited by those numbers. But the broad range of cars, it's
the range of cars. And June, I'm not worried about the dip after June. It's the financial year end sales. It always has a bit of a spike.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect it to do anything but settle down a little bit in July.
Yeah.
But the overall trend is extremely clear, and it's so exciting to see EVs becoming normal. That's the next car for more and more people.
And I thank you for coming on. We're going to cover 2 or 3 different things tonight. First of all, your ownership of a Nissan Leaf, which, well, that set the trend for a long, long time. And then we're going to have a look at your role as chair of AEVA, the Australian Electric Vehicle Association in Australia, in New South Wales. And then we are going to have a quick look at everything electric. And then we're squeezing another little car in there in between as well. So we're going to cover a little bit. But when was the first time that you thought, well, EVs are, what was your EV aha moment?
The aha moment was really listening to a podcast review of the Kona. Back in about 2018.
Yeah.
And we were approaching needing another car. So that was a sort of, it was, we thought we're going to have to buy another car sometime in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was I'd started tuning into the Driven, and they had, 30-minute, him in the car talking about it. And I thought, this just sounds like a regular car. And how they're using it is exactly, we bought it as a metropolitan city car, could drive, and we could charge at home. And I thought, this sounds so doable. I'd also was a bit of a nerd around Tony Seba, who's a futurist who talks about, all that sort of stuff. And feel free to go down that rabbit hole, any of your listeners. So I knew that EV cars were coming. My husband and son were probably both Tesla fanboys back then too. So, but it was the podcast about the Kona, and when I then went looking, there were really only 3 family passenger cars on the market at the time that were sensible within the average person's price range. That was the Model 3, the Kona, and the Nissan Leaf. And then the Nissan Leaf, because I've been listening to Tony Seba and doing the future stuff, had vehicle to grid built in standard, ready to go.
Way back then. I know it's not new, is it? No, it's
No, it's been around. They designed it from the get-go to have it. There's some really cool stuff in Japan where they use it for emergency services, all that sort of cool thing. Yeah. And so I did the test drive on the Nissan Leaf and was sold basically instantly. It had everything we needed, legroom in the back for big teenagers. Yeah. It was a soccer mum car basically. And it's coming up for its 7th anniversary in a couple of weeks.
And here she is, and here's the proud mother. Here's the proud mum. Yeah. I assume it's a she. Does it have a name?
It does not. Okay. No, it's just the Leaf. It's just the Leaf.
That's sweet. That's sweet enough. I know it is amazing if you do look back on the history. I think about 2019, 18 or 19. It was the first or second highest selling EV. They sold close to 1 million of them. And then it was just slipped behind the Tesla Model 3 by about 20, only as recently as 2020. So it is amazing the history on these cars. It was such a popular car. And when and how did you acquire this one?
So I did buy it new from the dealer in Zetland at the time, and I picked the dealer that had he said he'd been trained up with the technicians for the battery support. Yeah. He's now out of business and gone, by the way. But the Leaf is going fine, and that's one thing now. 7 years on, the service costs are nothing. Yeah, I had one issue on the battery in the first 18 months, fully covered under warranty. Had a loaner car the whole time. It was the middle of COVID, and literally had nothing other than tyres and windscreen wipers since then. That's it.
We'll get to that because I was curious about servicing on this, and because I hadn't spoken to many people, but there she is there, and look, here's proof. the parking brake does work. You were telling me about the brake earlier. Yeah, so.
The Nissans have foot brakes.
Okay.
So people who don't drive Nissans get in them and go, how do I take the parking brake off? And can spend 5 minutes if they haven't been warned. It's a foot brake.
And it is a bit. It is a sensational car, and I'm just going to jump forward just to the inside here for a minute, because what did you like about it? Did it? For me, it feels like a normal car, and so and it looked a bit like a normal car as well.
And that was one of my criteria was I wanted to be able to get in the car and drive it without opening a manual to find out how to do a window. And, and I don't, certain cars at time, as people will be familiar now, I don't want to have to go through a drop-down menu to turn the air conditioning on, or to open or close a window, or to untake the child locks off the back door. I like buttons, and it's a certain, and when I'm out on events, and I'm like, if you want buttons and you want to be able to, I want it to be like a rental car. You can just sit in it and know how it goes. And it does that beautifully. And, it's got air. You can see the panel for the climate control is all where you would expect it to be. There's some nice things on the steering wheel, which you get used to. Do I use every single button on it? No, I still don't. After 7 years, I haven't had the need, haven't bothered to learn. So
Exactly.
And navigation.
It's like a lot of cars, and that's got, but it does have Apple and Android connectivity.
It has navigation in it, which I admit I've never used. Okay. I just plug my phone in and do Google Maps.
Okay, so far easier, because I think and again, a bit of background on that. There's a couple of sources. You bought yours locally, so that's covered under full Nissan warranty and service here. There was a good car company that I think they did very well, and they were I think they had a good reputation. They bought out a lot of cars, good quality cars, directly from Japan as well. And unfortunately, they didn't survive as the prices came down. But they were renowned for having good quality. If you're out there on the used market and you're looking for one, they certainly have had a good reputation. I've come across a couple of those with sellers. And then there's some of the more grey market ones, which still haven't had the radio adjusted and still in Japanese, and takes a bit of time and effort for them. But there's still ones like yours, again, that have been imported directly. So that, just for anyone out there who's looking, I think that's important to know that there's not all Nissan Leafs are the same, right? So,
if it was a parallel input back in the day, then that's slightly different. But this was also, there are plenty that were bought straight from the dealer, like I did, and that's what I'd say now. If you're looking for just a good all-round basic metropolitan car, it's fantastic. It's got a Bose sound system, so my teenage son would sit in the car just to listen to music at full volume.
Why wouldn't he?
Where's he gone? Oh, he's sitting in the car playing, house EDM at full volume on the Bose speakers. So for a soccer mom car, it's pretty cool, actually. It was certainly very cool back in 2019. It's a bit less cool now, but I still have it, because there's only one thing, and it doesn't do long distance as well, but I didn't buy it for that, so it's fine. And otherwise, it still does everything I need it to do. It's costing me almost nothing to run. I did buy it at the same time we did solar panels. So we, could charge during the day a couple of times a week. And that's still the case. I charge when I see it's sunny. And then if I notice that it gets down very low, I charge at home. I've got both a trickle charger, so that's into a regular wall socket. Which I do tell people now, my general spiel, because I go to a lot of events as with wearing my other hat, is I put a charger in straight away because I was nervous, and it was I wouldn't do that now.
Let me show you. Let me show you what you said 2 years ago when you were chatting to Sarah. We got some of the images, and thanks Sarah, and the video from Sarah Aubrey from Electrify This. So have a look at do you still stand by this, right?
My car sits at home 12 to 16 hours a day. So be honest with yourself about how much your car's going to sit at home. Or what I tell people is, don't put one in straight away. See how you go for a month or two, and see if you actually need it. Because if you're like me and you sleep 8 hours a night, plus a couple of hours either side for dinner and breakfast, you're done. That's all you need.
Are you still getting 8 hours sleep a night? That was my first question.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
7.5.
That's good.
But I still spend a lot of evenings at home, and it's easy. So predominantly I use the trickle charger. I have upgraded that to a commercial grade
Yeah.
PowerPoint,
Yeah.
so that it meets all the standards, because the domestic regular PowerPoint isn't really designed to take that draw for hours on end.
Yeah.
So we have done that, but that was a couple $100. That was nothing. And I suppose I do also mention I have the second cable for travelling, and the trickle charger cable is what you take when you do go abroad, which is just listening to your intro too about, and then the FCAI's line about, is there enough infrastructure? My range anxiety, because I had a little bit at the beginning, and it really evaporated when I realised that I almost never park more than 20 metres from a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? So fuel is everywhere if you're driving an electric vehicle. It's literally everywhere.
Exactly.
And I think we're going to touch on it later. My husband's car is a very different beast. It is electric. But he has literally pulled up and charged it from a milk bar.
What was the range on the Nissan Leaf originally, and what are you getting at the moment? Just so people know, for an around town car,
it was about 245.
Yeah.
When I first got it, and I still bank on 220 kilometres.
Because some of the smaller cars that are coming out now, and we're going to look at one a bit later on, have got that 200 and 250 range, and it's been called out a bit as not being enough. But at the end of the day, if it's a second car or just a round town car, that is absolutely plenty, right? You don't have to be worried about only 200 or 250k range.
I think they've done that. The average person does 35 kilometres a day.
Yeah.
That's what you actually do. And so that rare occasion that something else, you think about it for a minute extra.
And there's some nuances for anyone looking at a Nissan Leaf, and we love them and they are getting cheaper. They are getting cheaper, and they're still out there, and people are selling them, they're buying them, they're using them as first, second cars. There's a bit of a nuance on the charging that you overcame.
So the DC charging is an old standard that's now been that's not standard in Australia anymore. So the plug wars are over. Everything you buy new, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But it has one of the old standards out of Japan.
Yeah.
And thanks to being a member of AEVA and finding a lot of really useful into people who are a lot nerdier than I now have an adapter. So I can now plug into any public charger using that adapter if the old standard one isn't available.
Yeah, without getting nerdy, there's an older standard and different style of plug that the Nissan Leaf had with CHAdeMO, which is another acronym, and it's been replaced, and all the new cars have a CCS, which is another acronym. But there is an adapter to change over when you need to go DC charging. But for home charging, it's not a problem. You've got a cable, you plug it in, no problem at home, yeah?
Correct. Yep. Okay. Yep. And so I have a trickle charger, which I use most of the time. I do have the 7 kilowatts faster charger. So that's, it's an AC charger. Sorry to use acronyms. It's faster than a trickle charger, but not as fast as a very fast charger on a highway.
And it does have a spare tyre. If anyone wants a spare tyre.
And this is funny. Particularly people who do regional driving, who I've spoken to, and they're like, it must have a real spare tyre, not one of these, fancy ones. And you can see the bolt there. It's actually connected. You undo the bolt there, and then it drops down from beneath. But it is a real spare tyre. It's 80-kilometre, dummy, whatever that donut tyre they call them. But it's there. It's real. You're not fiddling around with goop or, trying to blow funny things up. No. So, and it's particularly regional people, when they hear that, they're like, oh, yes, that's a real plus.
It sounds like the perfect car, Jenny. What do you...
Well, it's perfect for me and my family. So
I lament that it's taken so long for us to get... I lament that it's taken us so long to get other similar cars of similar size. But still, there's nothing like this, exactly the same size, and what this does, and the simplicity and the way it does it. Yeah. There's other options out there, and there are other cars, but nothing that was this good a value and this cheap, right?
And it's very affordable as a second-hand car. And it's funny, I've got kids in their young 20s
Mm.
now. And if you were looking for a car for your 20-something or, you know, teenager, this would be, you can now probably get them under, if they've got 50 or 60,000 K under 20K, they've got 5 airbags, they've got, you know, 5 sets of seat belts, you know, really good performance in terms of braking
My
and
car
safety
sits-
and all that stuff. And it's affordable. So, and they're going to enjoy driving it. It's an EV. They're all enjoyable to drive.
There's been a couple of iterations. This is the last one. This is the last one before they discontinued it, right? This, I think, or did they do a slightly?
It was 2019. No, it was right at the beginning. It was the very early of the second generation.
Second gen. Okay, yeah.
The first gen is a different shape and even smaller. This is the very early second gen from 2019. But I do see them around.
Yeah, all I can do is encourage Nissan Australia to bring the new Nissan Leaf to the market. There's going to be buyers there. They are desperate for it. They would love it, and bring it, please. So
yeah, and 7 years in, it's running perfectly.
I was going to say, anything else you'd be interested in right now? You're staying with that.
Staying with that, because as I said, the only gap is the really long distance, and we don't do much. And I've kind of solved it with the adapter. So it's just not oppressive. There's nothing calling to me at the moment, even though I do get to see them through my other role. You know, there's some gorgeous cars out there. Yeah. But I like being able to get in the car and knowing how to drive it without opening a manual.
Thanks, guys, for your comments. Joe's on the line. He's watching and waiting. So thanks to everyone else for joining us tonight. We're up to 18 viewers. So thank you, everybody. But you remember last week, or you may not, we had Nick from Electro Gusto on, and he and Michael Day have, well, there's a lot of in the AEVA community have been converters, and we're big supporters of converters as well. And so, of course, Jenny's husband also has a second car in the garage as well. This little beast. Tell us about this one, Jenny.
So this is the other member of the family, Homeboy, and you'll see why we call him Homeboy soon. And so my husband wanted to start up a bee business, removing bees and whatever, and I said, and wanted to buy a van, and I said it had to be electric. But this was back in 2018-19, and there wasn't a spare $70,000 lying around. And he found this from the AEVA guys. So Michael Day, some of you may know, plus Mark had converted it, we think around 2009.
Okay.
So it was already on its second set of batteries, and we picked it up. It's a funny story, because we bought it for $6,500 back in 2020. We sold the batteries in it for $4,500.
Yeah.
So, because he has done a full battery replacement, BMS and controller replacement. So that's, you know, it's heaps of fun. You know, no over-the-air updates, needless to say.
No. And if anyone doesn't look, if anyone watching doesn't get the number plate, then they're probably watching the wrong channel. So that I'm not even going to explain it. That's all right. Sorry if you don't get it. But this was, and I think this even qualifies. I've seen these little Suzuki vans. They're a lot, you know, they've been around, and I think this is one of the original K cars. It qualifies.
The chassis is 35 years old.
Yeah. It's been around for a while. In New Zealand, where I'm from, many moons ago, Suzuki set up a kit set factory in my hometown of Wanganui and imported boxes of parts and actually started building these. And it hasn't really changed much from about 40 years ago, this basic design. So, yeah, I'm reasonably familiar with them. They actually assembled and built this car from scratch. And it was about 6,999 new back about 40 years ago. That was when a Ford Cortina was 9,999, but still, yeah, it is amazing. So the K car, KEI, that smallish class of car, which I think in Japan qualifies for some cheaper rego and special permits to allow it in different places. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's got to be a particular size. And later on in the show, we're going to get to that when Nissan have actually got one in one of the top selling EVs in Japan has been their Nissan little K van. So it is a shame. They could have had it here, but that is beautiful. Fantastic to see. Really. And tell us about the business, by the way. Everyone loves honey and everyone feels sad for the bees if they're not well.
Which they're not. So basically Henry does Henry's honeybee shop, You can Google that. And so he removes bees colonies if they're anywhere they shouldn't be or you don't want them to be. Sells honey. Also runs bee classes, class bento or go direct. So we run 2-hour classes if you want to, learn about how to look after the bees. Yeah.
He does beekeeping. He does bee rescue, and he does
the classes
as well on beekeeping. So that is big enough for beekeeping. That's fantastic. But Jennie,
yes,
one major final hat you're going to put on and tell us about is your role as chair of the AEVA, which is the Australian Electric Vehicles Association.
Yeah.
If no one knows about it now, we're going to say it over and over again. Tell us about AEVA again and how you can join, how you can get involved.
Yeah, so it's a fantastic organisation. It's, all members is for members by members, or for EV drivers for EV drivers. It's been around 53 years, which was I was when I first found that I was like, wow. So it was actually it was created out of the first oil crisis. So guess what? Some things don't change.
Well, that was 73 or something like that. Yeah, something like
73, that. 73. So we're 56 years old, 100% membership driven. And so it's just a fantastic place for independent information about EVs and so its mission is actually to take all transport electric, not just cars. And that was us at the 2025 Everything Electric show at Homebush. We're headed back there this year in September, so September 18th to 20th, 3 days at Homebush. If you're a member, you'll have access to a code to get 20% off the tickets to Everything Electric. So if you're not a member, please think of coming. So one of the things, other than providing independent advice to anyone who's interested, so go to the website. If you haven't yet bought an EV, we have fact sheets. And quick plug, to my knowledge, it's the only comprehensive list of everything, every single EV that's currently available in Australia anywhere on the web. It's updated every single month. It's a really quick way to find your class, and you can see all your choices, narrow it down to the 2 or 3 you want to test drive. And go from there. And plus there's a whole host of other information on the website. And then come and talk to us at Everything Electric. We'll be there helping people wherever they're at on their journey. And whether you've been owning a car, EV, I'm still learning stuff. I enjoy learning stuff. There's a bunch of really nerdy people if you want to go down there. Plus there's a bunch of just drivers who love their electric vehicles. And another core bit is we have a policy working group who advocate to government. Both federal, we're a national organisation. We have branches right across the country, and we have some really fantastic people who do a lot of research and then go to government and talk about, come on, you've got to be sensible for EV drivers. This transition is happening. We need to fix some things or make things better. And so we talk to New South Wales government, we talk to the federal government, and we do an annual survey, which is where we hear from EV drivers about what's important to them. And that is what drives our work for the next 12 months. So, and actually the survey is still open for 2 more days, I think.
So guys, if you're watching on now live or you're watching, the survey's on Facebook at AEVA. The survey involves getting everyone's opinion on a whole range of matters involving electric vehicles. That's one way you can get involved. You can join, go to the website there as well. If you join and you volunteer for Everything Electric, you can get a free ticket. Is that right? Yeah.
Correct. If you volunteer for a shift on the stand,
on the stand, you can get a free ticket. So and also coming up on the 13th of August, which is next Thursday night, there's the AGM. And hopefully I'll be voting. Vote for Jennie. If you join, vote for Jennie to retain her position. I assume you're restanding.
I have nominated for chair for another year. Yes, I have.
I hadn't checked beforehand, but I assume you'd be. And yours truly will be speaking that night as well. So please come along as well. And we'll be talking about the used EV market in a bit more detail next week as well. So
giving us an update on everything that's happening in the secondhand market, which I'm looking forward to.
So all that'll be happening. So thanks very much for joining us, Jennie. Thanks for joining us on the Nissan Leaf story, that incredible conversion, and your role and the important work that AEVA do. I don't do enough myself, but I'm there in support as much as I possibly can, in spirit. Okay, so
It takes a village. Thank you very much for having me. And hopefully I'll see some of the people who see this at Everything Electric at the stand. Would love to see you.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for joining
Have
us.
a good
Thanks
night.
a lot.